What is good, everybody? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again, and we have the enemy in the building for our weekly Eye on the Enemy episode. Peter Bukowski in the house, breaking down the Packers. Let's get into it, starting now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bears, how Bears talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. And we welcome in from the north, the enemy in the building. As you can see, the Go Pack Go sitting behind him, Peter Bukowski from Locked On Packers and covering the Packers on the Leap. Peter, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited for this week. And as always, if it doesn't go well for the Packers, I just am going to have to get off Twitter for a couple days because I just know that that's what it's going to be like. Should we start first by having me explain what an RPO is? Would that help your audience?
Is that what we're going to do? First things first, right? How does it feel to be the most hated man in Bears Twitter right now? Like, it's you and Mike Martz today and almost every day.
Yeah. And the funny thing is I didn't even say anything bad about Justin Fields yet. Wait until I actually dig into this game and we actually start talking about Justin Fields. It's going to be great. No, it's going to be great. I love it. And we were saying before I came on, I love this rivalry. I've always loved this rivalry. And I like to have fun with it. Yeah. And I think it's sports. And so it should be fun. And I love the back and forth and the people that want to have fun back and forth. Let's do it. You want to talk football? Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's, the negativity is whatever. That's sort of part of the deal too.
Right.
I get it. And so this is fun. This is why we love sports, these rivalries. This is great.
Well, let's start it off. Let's talk about the Packers a little bit, right? And let Bears fans know kind of what's coming or what we're walking into up there. Week one did not go as you guys planned. A little bit of a surprise, I think, to Packers fans. But I felt like shouldn't have been that surprise, seeing as how, again, Aaron Rodgers not playing in preseason, trying to figure out how guys are going to work together. I don't have concerns about the MVP figuring out how to play football. But what do you think kind of is going to be some of the big changes we see from that week one where Aaron was clearly frustrated with his receiving core coming into week two versus the Bears?
I think what you're going to see is more opportunities for quick passes. I think what they wanted to do was a lot of what we saw against the Rams in that playoff game. They wanted to run the ball and then play action off of it into shot plays, force the Vikings, safeties in particular, to have to honor the run and then see if you could go up over top. The problem was every time the Packers lined up those shots, with the exception of the first play where you had Christian Watson running butt naked down the sidelines, and it's a touchdown if he just catches it.
Wide open.
Just as open as you can be. And by the way, he ran by Vikings corners all game.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the time to get there because the Packers, it's a backup left tackle. It's a right guard playing right tackle, which means also a backup right guard. So it's three non-preferred starters at their starting spots. I think Royce Newman, who's playing tackle, probably is the starting guard when Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari come back, which, by the way, at least in the case of David Bakhtiari, is not expected to be this week. So they were not able to get to some of that stuff. That's the problem.
Yeah.
When they ran the ball, though, 6 yards a carry. They ran it really effectively, and that's going to be priority number one, I think, for the Bears, is to stop the run game. If they can't run it, it's going to become really hard for them to get to those play action plays. But I think you're going to see more short passes, more schemed, like receiver screens to Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. I think you're going to see more jet motion, maybe more jet gives. I think they only ran one screen, and the Vikings kind of blew it up. I think you're going to see more of those kinds of design touches to the running backs, where it's just get them the ball in space and let them go to work. And Aaron Jones, that's the other big thing.
Yeah.
For him to have 8 touches is crazy. And he was on the field a ton, but did not get the ball enough. Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers both immediately after the game were like, this is crazy. He needs more touches. And so I think you're going to see that as well in week 2.
Do you feel like, right, like that was the adjustment from, okay, there's no Nathaniel Hackett, no Luke Getsy, appreciate y'all for that one, he looks all right. No Luke Getsy in the building there, right? Like there aren't these guys that have been such a big part, as Matt LaFleur has talked about, of what this offense is. Do you feel like there's just going to take a little bit of time on that adjustment for them to get used to that in the offense? Or is it literally just week 1 shaking the rust off?
Yeah, I don't know if it's brain drain, although I'm open to the possibility because anytime you lose that many coaches, that matters. That being said, Aaron Rodgers loves that his QB coach is Tom Clements again.
Yeah.
He convinced Matt LaFleur to hire Tom Clements specifically because he thinks Tom Clements is a great coach. He thought Tom Clements would be great for Jordan Love, and he has been. And so, I don't think that's problematic. And when it comes to Nathaniel Hackett versus Adam Stenavich, they love Adam Stenavich in that building. Aaron Rodgers said Adam Stenavich last year, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, that Adam Stenavich is a future head coach. Mm-hmm. So they love him in that building too. Now, the workflow is different, right? Nathaniel Hackett was their red zone guy, was their third down guy.
Yep.
They blew 2 red zone chances. And by the way, the Broncos last night blew some red zone chances too. So it's not like Nathaniel Hackett is this all world red zone designer. That is where you see the week 1 stuff come in.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of package plays. The Chiefs were just we're emptying the tank. Yeah. We're going to run all the crazy stuff in the red zone. We're going to put up 40 on the Cardinals, and the Packers just they kind of don't work like that. And I wish they would sometimes, because I do feel like Matt LaFleur, when he wants to get in his bag, has some really fun stuff in there. I think he almost over relies on Aaron Rodgers in these cases to just say, make us perfect.
Yeah.
And not relies, but just trusts him. Just we'll call the play, and then, it'll work because Aaron will help make sure it works. And I think there's a fine line, and Mike McCarthy found this out. There's a fine line between letting Aaron make you perfect and putting the Packers offense in the best position for Rodgers to be perfect. And so I think you're going to see some differences in this offense this week that are Matt LaFleur driven. But I do wonder, because Nathaniel Hackett was such a part of the Gold Zone package in 2020 when they were just unstoppable in the red zone. Red zone was not good last year for the Packers. They were middle of the pack. But it's worth wondering if some of that creativity going out the door would affect them this year. So
with a run heavy style team like the Bears in week 1 had no choice but to be, right? But how they've talked about wanting to be, do you have concerns with the Bears coming up to Lambeau, right? Seeing as how that defense didn't do that well against the run in week 1. I mean, 126 rushing yards given up really seemed to be one of their struggle points again, right? Because they were able to move the ball through the air so well as well, right? So it could be a little more focused on with Justin Fields, but are you a little concerned about this run defense heading into week 2 here?
I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because for most of the game against Minnesota, the Packers run defense played well. They wore down at the end of the game. In the second half, they gave up a drive that was sort of spearheaded by some longer runs. And ultimately the Vikings were able to half put the game away by running the ball. Week 1 is always at the end, everyone's gassed.
Yeah.
And so that's just how it is. You're just not prepared to play a real game until you actually start playing real games. And that probably carries into week 2 and week 3, by the way. It's really not, they have that whole first month to really sort of get back into the groove of football. But I thought the Packers front played pretty well early on. It's maintaining your ability to play the run and pass, which the Packers just didn't do. They blew too many coverages. Play to play, the defense played pretty well. The first drive, opening script, new coach, great skill players. You're going to give up yards. That's fine. I kind of don't mind that. You had a month to prepare for this game. You better have a good opening game script, right? And the Packers, by the way, had one too. They had a 75-yard walk-in touchdown that their receiver dropped.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit of making sure you're able to do both from this too high safety look, which is exactly what the Bears want to be too, right? There's going to be a lot of similarities, very similar offenses. I would say the defenses are a little less similar with what Matty Eberflus wants to be versus what Ed Donatel, the Packers and the Vikings were mirror images It's the same offense. It's essentially the same defense. Not quite the same in week 2, but plenty of similarities. I think if you're the Packers, you're going to be doing the thing where, you're going to be playing a lot of those 2 high safeties and trying to stop the run with 6. We might see a little bit more single high, and sort of dare Justin Fields to beat them over the top, because I think they're going to feel like they can get home, and I think they can feel like they can make the picture muddy for him underneath, and make him hold the ball a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, that was an issue for us in week 1, right? And of course, right, the rain playing into that. But you saw San Francisco go into that single high, and Justin Fields at times, right, just holding on to the ball. A couple of times I wanted to see him get the ball out quick right side to Kmet. A couple of times I just wanted to see him get the ball out quick. But that is something that has been held on Justin Fields, so that definitely could be an advantage of the Packers. What do you feel is the one thing that, no matter what, right? Because I'm assuming you have the Packers getting the win. I'm not going to lie to you. I have the Packers beating us this week too, unfortunately. What do you think is going to be that thing that puts the Packers over the top? And what's the one thing that you're most concerned about with this Bears team coming in?
I think part of it is I'm most concerned about the Packers, not the Bears. And that's been true. And that would be true. And no, that's not even shade at the Bears. That's true any week. Yeah. Because I just think the Packers are more talented than most of the teams they're going to face. They are more talented than the Bears.
I agree.
I think they're more talented than the Vikings on the whole, but they just didn't play well. Yeah. And they didn't play to their talent. That is my biggest concern again in week 2, is that they just don't play to their abilities. I think what I would be most concerned about is the busted coverages continue and the Bears are able to make big plays. Like, that would be the one big thing, right? That was what happened in San Francisco. Play to play, down to down. I think you would agree. The Bears were getting worked in that 49er game, but the game was close.
Yeah, 100%.
But the game was close, right? Yeah. And so Justin Fields makes the incredible play, spins out of a sack, back across his body. That's a really nice play, scramble play. The second touchdown throw to EQ, shout out EQ. Very happy that he's having success in Chicago. I really am. I think he just ran out of chances in Green Bay, but I think he's a talented player. That was a really nice scheme and a nice throw from Justin Fields. Those are 2 shot plays. Yeah. If you don't allow those shot plays, I think you're going to make it really tough for this offense, because Justin Fields does not want to be a 3-step rhythm thrower. It's just not who he wants to be. I think like he would be great in a Byron Leftwich offense. Like those Bruce Arians, we're just going to take 5 and 7 step drops and heave it downfield all day. Like, I think those are the kind of offenses where he would really thrive. I think if they're able to get some better receiver talent in this offense, they can get to some of that, play action, deep shot kind of Shanahan stuff. Yeah. Eventually in this offense. But I don't think that West Coast, the Luke Getsy, Mike McCarthy stuff, that's just not going to be the bread and butter of this offense ever. And then I think defensively, I was impressed with the Bears. I know that it was a monsoon, and I know that Trey Lance is essentially a rookie for all intents and purposes. Yeah. His first time as a full-time starter. The ball is wet. Their offensive line looked a mess, especially along the interior. By the way, the Packers' offensive line looked like a mess, especially along the interior. So that would be a little concerning to me as well, that the Bears would be able to get pressure. The thing is, I don't think they're going to bring a lot of pressure. That's not really an Eberflus thing. Yeah. And so if the Packers can block them up with 4, I think they're going to have enough answers to score enough points to win. And so that it's really the Justin Fields making big plays on a defense that just busted a bunch of coverages. That would be the one, if we're talking about like what the Bears could do, that would be concerning. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? I always say, like, Aaron Rodgers to me is the best quarterback I've ever seen. Not saying Tom Brady isn't the GOAT, but the best talent-wise quarterback I've ever seen, because I've watched the Bears blitz 8 and he picked it apart. And then I've watched the Bears be like, we're going to drop everybody back that we can, and he still picks it apart. So I do have this being a close game. I've got the Bears at least being competitive in this one. I think this is going to be a 27-20 type of game, close, fight it out, Bears, Packers football, and there's supposed to be more rain. Apparently that's our thing this season. We're going to be playing in rain all year. How do you have this game finishing out?
I have to be honest. We're recording this a little earlier in the week, so I haven't given it a ton of thought. But my sort of early lean on this is a 27-16 kind of game.
That hurts.
Right on the line, right at it's 9.5 or 10, depending on where you look.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. In the Matt LaFleur era, the Packers have never lost back-to-back regular season games. The average margin of the second game of those back-to-backs is 14. Generally, they come out after losses and beat people down.
Yeah, usually pissed off, and it's usually us, by the way.
Right, and so that's part of the the institutional knowledge that I have of watching this team. The history says they're going to come out and they are going to take it to the Bears. Does that mean that they're going to win by 30? No. But I think right in that sort of not quite, two full scores where I'm not double digits, 10, 14, 20. But I think it's probably, it's 7, 8, 9. That seems like a reasonable number to me. Because I do think the Bears defense looked better than I thought it would be in week one. Maybe that's just Trey Lance, but I do think their defense will be able to give the Packers enough problems that this game, at least for a good chunk of it, will be close.
Yeah, man, Peter, appreciate you for coming in, giving us that eye on the enemy. Make sure that you guys pull up with me and the Breeze crew live on Sunday night up at the Crazy Place in Waukegan, Illinois. We are going to be live. I don't know why we picked this game, but reacting to this game. So tune in and show up with us. Hopefully for everybody on this channel, the Bears prove both of us wrong. But Peter, let them know where they can find you. Let them know what you got going on and where they can tune in with your content. Well,
Locked On Packers is the podcast. Locked On Sports Today. If you don't want to listen to me talk about the Packers, I totally understand it. Locked On Sports Today is our flagship all sports show on the Locked On Podcast Network. And so it's football, it's basketball, it's hockey, it's baseball, not a lot of hockey. But it's all the big sports.
Yeah.
And just in under 20 minutes. So that's a cool thing. You can follow me on Twitter at Peter_Bukowski, but you already know that.
Yeah. I had it on the screen. I had it on the screen for them. It's okay. They know where to find you.
They sure do.
As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. Let me know how you guys feel this Sunday's game is going to go in the comments below. As always, man, to continue watching our Chicago Bears content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Let's go get a dub. Peace.